What's up, guys? Welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be talking about how to avoid burnout in sales. So over my whole journey on this channel, I've been documenting basically my journey starting from zero and getting into sales and making six figures, 10K a month, and I hit it pretty hard and I was a top performer among hundreds and hundreds of people. And not every video on my channel was about sales, and that's because I'm not trying to be this sales channel only. I'm trying to be a human being who has authenticity and not just be another high dopamine channel, basically. So throughout my time getting into sales, I ended up learning a few things. And I want to share them in this video because if you're someone who is interested in sales and maybe watches my content or other content and is interested in sales as either a career or just getting into it to stack skills, which is a lot of what I view sales as a skill stacking mechanism and a launch pad into entrepreneurship, because sales is basically just business and learning the ropes of that. So I think it's the best career you could say to get into if you're someone who's entrepreneur minded, and it's served me very well. It's given me the foundations of where I am now, where I'm able to invest in mentors and things of that nature and move closer toward the direction of my business where I'm taking on clients, etc., and stuff like that. But I'm going to share some of the raw reality that I was just journaling about of what I learned through that experience. I probably was in sales for over 3 years at this point. Tech sales, I've even indulged in the high ticket sales space. And so I kind of have a lot of perspective here that I'm going to share. And what ended up happening is I ended up burning out basically. And this is because of a few reasons. But before I get into that, I want to preface that sales isn't for everyone, okay? And now you're going to watch content online and there's going to be high dopamine, flashy videos, and I maybe even have made some of these, but my true desire is to really give you guys the raw reality. And so sales is just simply not for everyone. Not everybody is ambitious and wants, something that is against the grain, wants to like build a life of freedom and sovereignty. I mean, everybody kind of wants that, but not everybody has the drive to actually pursue that, right? And sales can be hard, right? A lot of times you have to really show up, be consistent day over day. You have pressures and emotional swings because sales is basically like a sine wave. There's highs, there's lows. There's never really like just a flat neutral point. It's usually either really good or you're like, fuck, what's going on? And so you have to really, but the positive side to that among all the hardship, and I've seen many people who get into sales and they leave because they just don't like it. They just can't handle it. But the positive side of that is, especially if you're someone who's trying to be an entrepreneur, who wants an entrepreneur, life one day, who wants a sovereign life, learning sales is going to develop you into the type of person that has the ability to be sovereign, to be independent, to be able to navigate some of the predictabilities of navigating an entrepreneur route or your own business or things of that nature. And so that's the positive side of it. But the truth is, it's not for everybody. Now, not saying it wasn't for me. I'm absolutely the type of profile where it's for. And if you watch my channel, you probably are as well. And if you're just ambitious in general, like anybody can do it. It's just the people who are ambitious and have drive, those are the ones that really succeed. So I wanted to preface that just before I get into the reasons I basically burned out, and that's not the reason. But this is the reason right here. So when I got into sales, the motivation for doing so, and this was about like back in like 2023, and I had some sales roles before that, but this was different because this was, remote sales. And I wasn't never in like a proper sales role before that, although some of the roles were sales oriented, which, everybody has sales oriented experience as well, even if you've never had a job. And so this is what I help people with in my one-on-one mentorship as well, in terms of finding the golden nuggets that you have in your experience to break into roles. And I've seen people do it from absolute scratch. I've helped people do it from absolute scratch and get into very desirable roles, right? But anyways, the reason I got into sales was because I wanted to escape my like office job, basically. I wanted to be able to learn a skill that I could do remotely that would make me the money I wanted and I wanted to not have to just do hourly work that doesn't teach me any skills. I wanted leverage. I wanted to learn a skill that I could take with me into my long-term vision, right? Because if you're just working an hourly job, the truth is you're not really always taking a skill that you're not really like honing a skill that you can actually use to build a better future. You're kind of just reliant on a company to do work. And so this is the difference between traditional jobs and sales jobs, because any sales job you get, you're going to hone in a skill that's going to help you be a better communicator, help you understand human psychology better, help you understand how sales works remotely, right? And like if you're trying to start a business and you've been in sales for a bit, like you're going to be better in business. You're going to be able to make a business come to float a lot better. You're going to be able to hire a team. You're going to be able to negotiate. You're going to be able to find a co-founder. You're going to be able to pitch your idea. You're going to be able to sell people on the value of what you offer. You're going to be able to identify people in the market that have the problem that you solve. Like, guys, there's so many aspects to business, and sales is the core. And so this is why I got into it. Now, the reason after, taking it, crushing it, I spent like 2 years, I was making six figures in my first year, and then I went on to make 10K a month. And there was a point that I got to, and I was just on a client call yesterday where I was talking with him about this, but he asked me like, Chad, what are you doing now? And like, yeah, what are you doing now? And I told him like, I took sales as far as I felt I needed to move into a step into my long-term vision. And so what ended up happening is I was making tons of money. I had just money flowing into my bank account, and that was great. And I was just buying stuff. I was renting out expensive places, doing things like that. And eventually I was like, I lost sight of my why. I lost sight of the reason I got into it in the first place. And I just saw like an empty spiral of just money making. Now that doesn't mean that sales was the reason for that, or that having a good sales job was the reason for that. It meant my internal reasons for getting into sales, I lost sight of them. I lost sight of them and I lost direction. And so this is the only thing that, and you may have seen videos on my channel previously where I'm talking about some of this stuff, but in hindsight, I've really doubled down on sales as a tool. And this is what I'm going to explain. But basically, I lost sight of the reasons I got into it, which was to build skills so that I could be an entrepreneur. And so eventually I got so into a place of such competence and confidence in sales. I was sitting on a massive safety net in finances. I had more money than I knew what to do with. I was investing in some things. And I had a platform and a foundation of skill set and finances, or runway, to start moving into business. And so this is kind of the shift that you're seeing in my channel now, where I'm moving closer toward actually crystallizing something of my own, right? And throughout that whole period, I was working on YouTube videos and building content, and I knew that was an avenue I wanted to take, as well as making music and stuff like that. And then, so yeah, once I remembered my why, I eventually got to a point where it started to crystallize, and I had so much clarity on who I wanted to help, the mission I have to help the world, and at least the first stepping stone to that. And so that point was a shift for me, and that's what helped me remember my why and realize why I'm doing what I'm doing. And it doesn't mean that your why has to be the same. If you're in sales for different reasons and you just want a stable career, you just want a lucrative career, and you like sales and you enjoy that, don't lose sight of your why. And this is the biggest thing that causes people to burn out or not hit their numbers or all of this stuff. So your why is the biggest thing. And so what I teach here on my channel and the perspective that I take is, guys, sales is a tool. I mean, I remember when I was literally out of college back in 2021 and I was just completely lost. I had no skill set. College didn't really teach me any skills that I could actually use in the job field. And I had so many limiting beliefs and fears about everything. The job market sucks. I'm not good enough to land a good job, stuff like this. And that put me in a very dark place where I was just working minimum wage jobs and stuff that didn't align with me. And sales took me out of that. It gave me a practical way to make money that wasn't trying to rush a business, because at this time I was also trying to make money online. I was trying freelance copywriting, drop shipping, e-com, selling beats online, doing all these kind of like independent ventures, trying them, and none of them were working. And I was desperate to like just get some independence. And as soon as I got into sales, remote sales, I had more freedom than I ever knew what to do with. Right? I was traveling more. I finally could wake up and not have to drive to a physical location. I started to feel like I was actually learning real skills, and that was meaningful for me. And when I showed up to work every day on my schedule, I I felt more engaged because I saw that sales, I was using it as the tool that it is. And I can always fall back on it, by the way. When you build competence in this skill, it's constantly there. Read Brandon Borneson's, the founder of Seamless AI. Read his book. He talks about how he's like a multi-seven-figure entrepreneur. He talks about sales and how it was a tool for him throughout his whole entrepreneurship journey. Okay, this is the lens I take, right? So to avoid burning out, don't lose sight of your why, right? And if you watch my channel, use sales as a tool. Make your first 10K a month. Make your first six figures, and then use that runway to start moving toward the direction of the life you actually want to live, right? It's a launch pad. And so this is the way that I view it, and this is what I help people do, okay? So that's it, guys. That's really it in a nutshell. It took a lot of reflection. I'm a work in progress, constantly learning things, constantly trying things, right? And that's okay. And what I found is that sales saved me, and this is where I feel I'm called right now to help the world. And so, yeah, if you're someone who's been interested in sales, if you feel like you're stuck, maybe you don't know how to find desirable roles, maybe you don't know how to stand out among competition, maybe you just have some fear and limiting beliefs that you're good enough to get your first role with no experience and no college degree, which I've helped many, many people do this from absolute scratch already. And I've helped hundreds and hundreds of people with my trainings and content alone land desirable roles. But if you need help with that and you feel like you want one-on-one guidance and would benefit from having someone hold your hand through that process, which can be scary, but can really change your life if you get into the right role, be making like 5 to 6K a month right off the bat, okay? So if you feel like you want some help with that, the first link in the description, I've just opened up a few spaces for mentorship starting in June. Now, if you're watching this late, that's fine. I every couple months, I close off and open up new spaces because I only have so much bandwidth. So if you see in the link in the description, it'll take you to a book a call page. If there's spots open to book a call, that means that I currently have at least one space open. So check that out. And if you resonate with that, we can have a chat and see if it even makes sense for you to work with me, and I can just at least give you some clarity on your situation. And if it doesn't make sense, that's totally fine. Maybe you'll get some value out of me giving you some direction either way. So check that out. I hope to see you in another one. I enjoyed this video. I'm out for now. Take care. Bye.